What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a quick tabletop review on the phenomenal CZ75D PCR. Also, I'm going to drop some shooting impressions. So without further ado, let's get started. First things first, let me safety check it, show you guys that this thing is empty. Nothing in the chamber, completely empty. Alright, so a little bit of history on this pistol. So the CZ75 design originated back in the 1970s. It was created in Czechoslovakia. It is a single action, double action. Impressively used by the Czech Armed Forces, the Czech Police, the US Secret Service. It was adopted by the French Police, the British Armed Forces, the German Police, the Canadian Armed Forces. One of the most popular and reliable semi-auto pistols, 9mm pistols in the world. So with this particular model, I did like the original sights. They were okay, they weren't bad, but I upgraded to the True Glow TFX Pro sights. They're fiber optic and they also have tritium. Originally these came with rubberized panels. I thought they were fantastic. They had a very soft and ergonomic feel. I swapped them out for some lock grips, G10 grenade pattern. I'm not sponsored by Lock Grips, so all my opinions on their grips is 100% honest, no bias, and I got a little green liner there to match the sights. And yeah, I actually prefer the G10 lock grips, but I have to say that those original CZ grips, the rubberized ones, they're a dream. But I'm gonna get into the ergonomics overall in a little bit. So let's talk about the shooting impressions. I wrote through up some stats in text. But the gun itself is a relatively flat shooter. That's because it's all metal, steel slide, steel barrel, and aluminum alloy frame, which eats up a lot of recoil. It's a hunk of a gun, but it's extremely balanced. I have a SIG P229 Enhanced Elite that I'm going to do a review on as well. And they're right around the same weight roughly, but they're balanced differently. This CZ, it's just evenly balanced throughout. Hard to explain, you just have to grab one and feel it to know what I'm talking about. That's a segue into the ergonomics itself. Going back to that, they're completely off the charts. This gun just absolutely melts in your hand when you grab it. And if you get a hold of one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Just phenomenal ergonomics. As far as like price range, I mean, you'll see this thing for like upwards to $800, maybe even over. If you're lucky, you can get it on sale, get a deal for like right around $600. If you see one for that price, snatch it up, trust me. I know I touched on it being hefty in a tank, but it's a good weight. Overall is relatively light for being all metal, and that's because it's aluminum alloy. They have a 75 compact, CZ75 compact, that is all steel. This is the PCR model. You could tell it's the PCR model by the serrations on the front of the slide, and also there are serrations right here in the grip. Small variations. I'm not sure if the compact has serrations right here in the front of the trigger guard, but yeah, it's a different model. Touching on some other things, I think it's the perfect size for conceal carry. I mean, it's not as small as some of these micro 9s out there. I know there's a craze for like slimmer, smaller pistols, but this one's right around the Glock 19 size, maybe like a tad smaller. And I think it's the perfect balance of being small enough to conceal well and big enough to feel good in your hand and absorb recoil. You know, they say like you want to carry the biggest pistol you can. I conceal it very well. I carry in a 4-o'clock position. If you get a holster with a good cant to it, you know, have it cant where the handle is a little bit going forward, so it kind of like hides the back end of the handle so it's not poking out your shirt. You're going to be good in the 4-o'clock position. I'm not an appendix carry guy, so I can't really speak on that. You guys did see in the beginning of the video that it was empty, and this is the decocker lever. It's in a good position. I don't necessarily have to break my grip to activate the decocker. There it goes right there. So once again, let me throw that hammer back and manipulate that decocker. So right there, basically you can carry it around in the chamber and kind of like in Glock mode. There's no safety. This will not fire. There are safety barriers and measures in place that this hammer will not ignite the primer. It's also drop safe to my understanding. You have to pull the trigger to disengage barriers in the pistol that allow the hammer to ignite the primer. So totally safe in the decocked mode, as long as you keep your finger off the trigger. I feel like it is kind of a beast to rack the slide, especially with the hammer down. I think there's like a little break-in period, but that should, you know, loosen up over time the more you use the pistol and fire it. The stiffness, part of that is due to the recoil spring and the hammer spring in conjunction, you know, the force between those two trying to rack it. But, you know, if you cock the hammer back, it's a lot easier to, you know, rack the slide. Magazine release is in a good position. You don't really necessarily have to break your grip to, you know, activate that. As far as the trigger, if I can show you guys, so this is in single action mode, and I'll show you guys. There's like some take up there. Once again, some take up there. You hit a wall, pow. And then the reset. Okay, here goes the reset. It's kind of a long reset. Once again, I'll show you guys the reset. Yeah, I mean, it's a long reset, but I still find the trigger pretty good. I'll show you in double action mode. It's a pretty hard pull. I'm not quite sure what it is off the top of my head, but once again, I'll put the stats up in text. But I'll show you guys the double action pull. Show you guys again. It's hefty, man. It's hefty. It's a tough pull for the first double action shot. But if you're carrying, it's going to be in the half cock position, so it's not going to be too bad of a first pull. And then, of course, afterwards, after subsequent shots, it is going to be in single action, which is an absolute dream to shoot. I love the single action pull on this pistol. I love single action pulls, period. Completely different experience than a striker fired handgun. So all in all, would I recommend this pistol? Absolutely. 100% if you are an experienced shooter, if you're not new to guns. I think this is a must-have. It's almost like a collector's to me. The legendary CZ75D PCR. If you find this thing, buy it. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Would I recommend this to a new shooter? I'd say you'll grow into it. The only issues that I see for like a newer shooter is, of course, getting comfortable with carrying or using a hammer-fired pistol. Is definitely a little bit of a learning curve with the decocker, or if it has a safety. I personally don't like safeties. But the only other issue I would see is, you know, it's a little stiff out the box. Like I said, it's hard to manipulate as far as like racking the slide. The hammer's a little bit rough, is a little stiff, but the more you shoot it, the more you use it, it's going to loosen up. And maybe for female shooters or for, you know, guys with like weaker hands and grips, it might be a little bit rough, but still manageable, especially if you rack it, you know, from the back end and use good technique. Probably missing out some details. I'm trying to think. Of course, you have a steel trigger. This thing is very well built. Very, very well built. Alright guys, that's all I got. Hope you enjoyed this quick tabletop review. CZ75D PCR, 2 thumbs up from me. If you see this thing, you have the money, especially if you find a deal on it, pick it up. You will not regret it. Thanks for watching this short segment, guys, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Take care.